I'm here, I gotta get here, everything in between. Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about route planning and the importance of it and mistakes that people generally make with it. It's going to be just a very simplistic overview because this can be a very deep, dark rabbit hole when setting this up. But there are just very common mistakes people make all the time when it comes to route planning. So when I say route planning, okay, we're going to look at this in two different senses. The first is like an exploration sense. So in that case, we might be thinking like, hey, there's a local state park we go to all the time, and we realize that the park in maybe, I don't know, the northeast corner has a couple thousand extra acres that we didn't even know the park had, and we looked on the map and we realized, hey, there's like some little ponds and little like waterways back there. I want to go explore that and see what's going on back there. And then the flip side to that is, which I think is really important, and this is what got me thinking about this today, was the safety standpoint. So the emergency standpoint of having routes for yourself and maybe your loved ones if they're not super into this, so they have an understanding if something bad would happen, how to get from point A to point B. So that's like your office or your place of work, or in my case, like the warehouse. We're all here every day. How are we going to get from here home in the worst case type scenario? So that's what we're going to look at. So the first thing that we already discussed, right? Know your point A and point B, where you're starting and where you're going to end up. Everything in between, that is where the tricky part comes in. And there is no perfect answer to this. This is where you understanding this topic better is going to help you set your route a lot better. So once you know point A and point B, first recommendation of mine is to get your phone out, look on Google Earth or Google Maps, use some aerial imagery that you can get right now while everything's up and running of that area. Look in between the two, see what's going on there. Sometimes you drive the same road all the time and you don't know what's to the left or right of that highway that you're constantly on. So it's a good idea to look at that stuff and get a good understanding there. And then once you realize, hey, all right, I'm going to take the next step and I'm going to get these routes set up for myself, or at least a better understanding of what the routes might look like, I highly suggest getting a paper map. So this is my little mapping kit. I showed this in other videos with my Get Home style bag, okay? I also carry these in my woodland bags though too. So in here is my topographical map. These things are super valuable for what we're going to be doing here. I have a blog. I'm going to put the link down in the description on our website. The blog goes over how to actually get a My Topo map and what I recommend putting on the map, because there's a lot of different features and you can customize this to your own operational area. So operational area to me would be your starting point and ending point is all on that map. And again, you can size your map accordingly to what you're going to do. And just a quick side note on that, everybody's scenario here is going to be different. Everybody's. If you're in the city, if you're in rural farmland, if you are city in the farmland, like everybody's going to be different. Okay, so you have to just apply these topics to your own personal situation. All right, so in my case, we're going to open up my map. We're going to look at some of this stuff from point A to point B and how I would actually address different routes. So one of the biggest mistakes, okay, which this is going to boggle some minds, I think when I say this, that I see individuals make when it comes to route planning is they set a primary and secondary route and that is it. It is like, that is where I'm going. And if the primary route's down, my secondary route is it. The problem with that is when the situation occurs or something happens, you don't know what's in between you and your ending point. So you might have to adjust on the way. So understanding why you have to adjust and how to adjust with these topics is going to keep this very fluid and it's going to keep you safe overall. Okay. So what I did here, I got some paper clips and we're going to use them because they're red and you're going to be able to see it really nice on the map. We're going to mark where I'm starting, where I got to go to, and we're going to talk about the different things that you need to know when traveling point A to point B. But first, we're going to thank today's sponsor. So today's sponsor is Bad Wolf USA, a veteran-owned small business in Florida, so right here in the United States, and they specialize in surge protection and EMP protection. So the reason that we're talking about that today and this company specifically specifically today is because we're talking about routes and being able to travel from point A to point B. And when you think about that, especially in my case and probably a lot of people out there, having a vehicle that's operable, all right, in bad conditions is super, super important, okay? Because not only is it going to make life a lot easier for you rather than having to walk or run or travel through the hills and woodlands, but if you have to travel and you have to find maybe your parents who are elderly or you have small children, it's going to make life a lot better. So they make products to help protect your vehicles if something would happen, like an EMP. It's going to help protect that electrical system and it's going to keep your vehicle running. Myself, why I'm so interested in this is because of the fact that I live in a more rural area and we have a lot of dirt roads, coal mine roads, just trails, so I can protect my ATV and all my off-road vehicles like my Humvee, and then that stuff's going to be up and running even if something bad would happen. So just quickly, I have one of their surge protectors that I didn't use yet. They come wrapped up like this. This one specifically is for just a vehicle with a 12-volt system. So most cars, they're so easy to hook up. You see there's two wires. They go onto your battery. It comes with instructions. Very easy to use. You just hook it up to your battery and you're good to go. This is the larger one. I have a military Humvee and it is a 24-volt system. So even with that, two batteries, big batteries connected together, it's just two wires. They connect to the battery and then this is what's going to protect that. They also make home systems to protect your house in case something would happen. So lots of good stuff there. I'm going to put the link down in the description. There is a code, Coalcracker, all in lowercase, so you can get some discount on all that. But I'll put the link down in the description for that, and you can keep all of your equipment protected. So we have the map laid out. I'm going to just use these paper clips here that are colored red. In this case, okay, I work here and I live here. All right, so what I would need to do now is I'm going to plan a route from point A to point B. These are our only known areas. Now when I do this, there's two things I want to take into consideration: my threats and my land features. So first let's talk about land features, and we're actually, to do this, we're going to slide this because this is a little bit confusing and it's probably going to be hard to see because there's so much going on. This is actually active coal mining area. So how they coal mine around here, they don't deep mine, meaning they don't go down into mines anymore. They just dig the surface until they get down to the coal. So this is absolute mayhem and it's very, very difficult travel, and it's sometimes there's areas here you can't pass. They're just steep walls that they dug out. They're huge pits. They're constantly moving dirt around. So I can tell you this is probably not accurate information right now, but we know it's coal mining area and it's something that me specifically I have to deal with. So we're going to slide our pointer over here and just imagine this is home, all right, in a woodland travel environment, because we can also apply this not only for emergency, like I said, but also just woodland travel. So if I would make a straight line from here, point A to B, and walk this way without any other regard to anything that's happening, yes, it is the shortest distance, but technically it's probably going to take a lot longer, and it could actually even be a longer distance than some other ways. And how that is true is the fact that we have to look at the contour lines. Contour lines are all these little things that are moving around here. It's showing high and low areas on the map. So if you've ever hiked a trail and you're going up a hill, downhill, up a hill, downhill, up, and you're like, oh, it's just killing you. Well, that's what would happen if we walk straight. So if I would walk just straight through here, we have hilltop, valley, hilltop, valley, hilltop, valley, hilltop, valley. This is up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So we know that's going to be a very difficult travel route, okay? Now, if I would just make a little loop down through here and walk around the base of this overall hill, because this hill, right here, this here is a hill, and then when you get up towards the top, you're starting with all these little knuckles on it. So if I would just walk around the bottom base of this mountain this way, all right, it's going to be a lot easier trip. It's all woodland. I have a water source on the way, and I can easily travel just around this, making my trip that much better. So we always want to take that into consideration. Now, if you look through the coal mining area, this these high points and low points, they're just wild. I mean, they are all over the place. But what you can look at is just bigger mass features. So if we look down in this area, what you can see is these contour lines are really steep all the way around. It sort of looks like a starfish. But around that, you can see it's more mellowed out. So I would never want to try to travel up and over this if I can avoid it. What I'd want to do is I just want to find, all right, it's steep here, I'm going to travel down through this area, and I'm going to make it easy for myself to travel. Okay, that's ultimately what we're looking for in regard to terrain. So that's an easy one. If we know we're going here to here, we look at terrain, we're set, we can pretty much set that route and just travel it. The hard one comes into play when we start thinking about threats. So this would be more in an emergency type situation. We might want to avoid more populated areas. We might need to avoid highways. Okay, so in my case, if I was traveling here to here, I got nothing going on here, okay? Except there's a couple houses right in this area. So as I travel around here, I can make a call once I get here. Hey, am I gonna cut around this? Or am I gonna just try to go through these few houses and not really deal with much, or hit the highway and come around? Not much going on here. Now, my true scenario from my warehouse to my home is a lot different. Number one, I have a lot of land issues, but let's just assume that this is mainly woodland with just a big hilltop through here. We have a lot of populated areas through here that I need to figure out how I'm going to bypass. So me walking straight through here, not only is that not going to happen due to the coal mines, but it's also going to make me go through a lot of these areas that there is a lot of population. So when I plan my route out, what I'm generally going to do is first I'm going to look at terrain. So in my case, the easiest way to do this would be from my shop to come out this direction. From this direction, I can actually keep on going. I'm going to get out this way, and then I'm going to push down through here and head home. Okay, so I'm making more of this shape, like this 90-degree angle type travel for straight. The problem is with that travel, we're dealing with major highways, we're dealing with populated areas, we're dealing with a way more populated area here, all right? But we're keeping the land features low. So now I have to make a determination at this point, hey, they might be a lot of threats I have to avoid, so most of this is not going to work. So what I'm going to start to look at now is where is there less population, where am I crossing less roads? If that's the case, one of my options is actually to head away from my house. So I'm heading out in this general direction, all right? And you can see by the contour lines, this is gonna be quite easy travel. I'm gonna have some difficult travel to get up on top of this hilltop, but once I get up on top of this hilltop, it's generally flat through these coal mines, out in this direction, come back down the hill, and then once I start coming back down this hill again, I'm dealing with more population. So instead of going down this hill, I might want to stay up on this hilltop, and then I'm going to cut right down through here, hitting the waterways and coming in the back side of my house, okay? So I have to be able to make these determinations, and only you are gonna be able to assess this because you're gonna have to learn these areas, okay? Sometimes you might have to make big loops. I know if I would take this route all the way out woodland, I know because I grew up in this town, I know that this coal mine here is inactive at this point. So I might have to go all the way out here, all the way through this, and then all the way back along this ridge line, bypassing this town here to get home. A long way home, but a lot safer way than being able to travel through this absolute mess. All right, guys, and there you go. That is our overview on the basics of route planning. As you can see, once you get that A and B set up, start and finish, everything in between, you have to just apply some common sense, and it's going to be very situationally dependent. But being able to look at maps like the topographical maps and aerial maps like you can use on Google Earth, it is such a game changer. And the biggest thing is that you're thinking about this ahead of time. So you already know going into it, this isn't working, I need to shift and use this, or move in this direction, and then it stops and I have to shift this way. So being able to put them things together is going to be super helpful for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I love this stuff. I've been super into it recently. So I'm having a good time with it. I hope you're learning a lot from this. this. If you do, hit like and subscribe down below. Also, check out Bad Wolf, those EMP protectors. Very cool products overall. Maybe they're going to be very applicable to you and your vehicles and your ATVs and stuff like that. And then check us out at Coalcracker, and until next video, stay in the woods and stay on track with your route.